Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So, as you guys know, we seldom discuss the NFL, but there was a pretty serious breaking news story that occurred over the last 24, 36 to 48 hours. What happened? I'm sure some of you are aware of it. It's all over the news that Miami Dolphin, Tyreek Hill, was allegedly, not allegedly, he was pulled over by some cops. I think he was on his way to the stadium to go play. And there was footage of him, I guess, by people passing by in their cars of him, like with his car door open, he's on the floor, getting handcuffed, and he was surrounded by 3 officers. So that was the first thing. And at the time when I saw it, I couldn't make much sense of what I was seeing because I didn't understand the context. I didn't know what occurred, none of that. So I was trying to figure out what had happened. And then certain different news outlets were saying that he was stopped for speeding. And then I heard other outlets say that one of the cops was being taken off the field, that he was supposed to be working, I guess, in an office. He's no longer on the field. And I've been hearing all of these different stories. And I also heard a story of, one of the cops, physically assaulting him. And I was just trying to get to the bottom of it. So as I was doing my research this morning, I ended up coming across a soundbite of Tyreek Hill himself responding to the incident between himself and the police officers, where he was basically giving his own account of the events that occurred. And I think that the best person to speak on this is Tyreek himself. So what we'd like to do now is we'd like to play exactly what Tyreek Hill had to say to the press regarding his incident with the police officers. And then we're going to come back and continue on the show with some more details. Take a listen to him here.
Tyreek, before we talk about the game, can you go through what you experienced? What was what happened?
Right now, so I've been trying to figure that out too. Man. Right now, I'm still trying to put it all together. So I'm not gonna give you a version that I still don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to be able to use this platform to say, like, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill, bro? Like, worst case scenario, because it's crazy. Like, I want to be a cop one day. I got a state trooper hat, all that, so I got a lot of respect for cops, man. But obviously, everybody has bad apples in every situation, so I want to be able to, use this platform, to figure out a way to, like, flip this and, make it a positive on both ends, on my end and then also Miami-Dade, so that way we can team together and, do something positive for the community, because that's what it's all about, bro. Like, you guys are here to, like, protect us as individuals, and I have a platform and I want to be able to team up with you guys, so that's all I got to say. So,
Tyreek, why do you believe the police put you in handcuffs?
I have no idea, for real. No idea, man. It's crazy. No idea. It wasn't disrespectful, because my mom didn't raise me that way. Didn't cuss. Didn't do none of that. So, like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out, man.
I guess the police officer was put on administrative leave where you were that.
Nah, I wasn't. That should tell you everything you need to know then. You feel me? It should tell you everything you need to know. So that's all I'm gonna say about that situation. I'm just glad that my teammates were there to, like, support me in that situation, because I felt alone, and when they showed up, it made me realize that we got a good team this year, dog. For them to put their life on the line, you know what I'm saying? So it was amazing to see, man. So
was it on your mind when the game started, or were you able to completely move on?
You know what, the thing about me, man, I have a great support system at home, man, from my wife, from my mom, and then even when I come inside the locker room with my teammates, man. So I was able to pray with my family, able to talk to my wife, calm down a little bit, and I was straight, man. Because I know at the end of the day, I still got a job to do, you feel me? And nobody worried about if Reek come in, if he dropped 3 passes because he's still thinking about the little scenario. Nobody thinking about that, man. I still got a job to do, so got a family to feed. I gotta be a leader of this team. You know, I gotta find ways to bounce through adversity. No matter or whenever it hits. So.
How do you answer that question? What if you weren't Tyreek Hill?
It's hard, man. Still trying to figure that out. It's all across the world, man. You see it. You know. I don't want to bring it race into it, but sometimes it gets kind of iffy when you do. You feel me? So, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? Lord knows, like, what that guy or guys would have did. You feel me? And I was just making sure that, you know, I was doing what my uncle always told me to do whenever you in a situation like that. Just listen. Put your hands on the steering wheel. Just listen. So, gotta be careful, man.
Did an officer put hands on you when you were in handcuffs?
Yeah.
What was going through your head during that moment?
I don't know. I was thinking about something else. What was I thinking about? I was thinking about going for like 150 today, for real. I was on the way. I was like, man, I'm finna go crazy today, man. You feel me? Then all that happened, and I'm like, hold on. Is this happening? It happened so fast that it caught me off guard. You feel me? Because I'm like, dang, they really doing this.
Why did they even pull you over, Tyreek?
They said I was speeding, but they said I was speeding. Reckless driving, whatever.
So you heard his own account of the situation, and I got to be fair with you guys. I was actually surprised. If you heard at the very beginning, he said that he himself is looking to become a police officer in the future. I was surprised. Who would have known? I would have never known that had he not said that. So then I came across another article with some more information. This one is from BBC.com, and it says police launch review after NFL player Hill detained. It continues on. Miami-Dade Police Department has started an internal investigation that Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill was detained on his way to play in his NFL team season opener. Video on ESPN show Hill lying on his front on the ground being handcuffed by a police officer near the Dolphins Hard Rock Stadium on Sunday for an alleged traffic offense. He was later released and scored a touchdown in a 20-17 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, celebrating by pretending to be placed in handcuffs. One of the police officers involved in the incident has been placed on administrative duties while the investigation is conducted. The Dolphins said several teammates had stopped and offered support for Hill. Defensive tackle Calais Campbell told NFL's Network's Cameron Wolfe after the game that he was also placed in handcuffs as he tried to de-escalate the situation. Wow. Speaking after the match, Hill said he did not know why he was being stopped and handcuffed. And then the article then goes on to quote what he had to say, which we've already played for you guys there. And then towards the end, it just basically said earlier, Hill's agent told ESPN it had been a heartbreaking situation, but Hill was okay. And then it said a few other things there. What are my thoughts on this? First of all, I don't have all the information because I don't know exactly why he was pulled over. What we're hearing is that it was because of speeding. That's what I heard. I don't know that because I don't know the official report, number one. Number two, I don't have the body cam footage, so I don't know exactly what took place. Now, I did search through the internet and I think Tyreek was standing up or he was sitting down. He was certainly handcuffed. And then one of the officers kind of made like a beeline towards him, but I couldn't see what happened after that. He kind of, they made contact and Hill's body kind of moved, but I couldn't see clearly. It's like a 15-second clip there. I guess some people are saying that the police officer assaulted him there. I actually came across some tweets from Stephen A. Smith where he said this story with the police involving Tyreek ain't going away, damn it. Traffic violation, fine, but what the hell was his face? Why the hell was he face down in handcuffs, stood up, and then the other officer runs over behind him and forces him to the ground? Again, hell no, excessive, wrong. Again, this ain't going away. Those are Stephen A. Smith's comments on it. Again, I don't have all of the information here, so it's hard for me to make a judgment call. I've had some personal run-ins with the police, not in the United States. Well, I did have one issue. I had one incident with a police officer in the United States. This was years ago. Like I was a teenager. My cousin was speeding and he did a move, and then the cop just pulled. He jumped out of the bush, and I'm like, what the hell? So he comes up to the window. And I'm like in total shock and all, because the last thing I expected to see was a police officer. And he was looking at me like, man, this kid is so startled that the police just kind of looked in and just I think he let us go. He was like, bro, this dude is shook right now. I'm like, bro, what is going on? Right? I'm just here for the ride. Like, I'm not even driving the car, right? That was the first situation, but I've had some more serious incidents with police officers, but not in the United States, outside the United States, and I've had some very, 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 very serious issues where, cops took advantage of me, right? In places where things are a little bit less lawless, and a cop, jumps in your car, and then another one jumps in your car and tells you drop an ATM machine, right? With their assault rifles. I didn't say pistols. I said their assault rifles on their way. So I've had some pretty terrible experiences. I've learned in my experience, I haven't really dealt with a cop in the United States, but I've learned from the cops that I've dealt with outside the United States, just for me at least, I try to remain calm. I try to remain respectful. And 99.9% of the time, I know I didn't do nothing wrong anyway. So, there's nothing there for me to be, but in the States, it's a totally different thing. And some people have had some pretty gory experiences regarding this particular case. I can't really speak on it in further details because I don't know what happened. But I guess when we get more information, we'll know what happened. But given what I heard, if it was him speeding, I don't know how he ended up on the floor. But when more information comes out, we'll be able to draw a conclusion. As you guys know, Shannon Sharpe has the very popular show Nightcap with his partner Chad Johnson, who he calls Ocho, right? And they've been doing this show for, I think, probably a year and a half now. It's very successful. Their podcast, or at least the YouTube channel, has over 1 million subs. And if you know anything about the show, they're kind of like a breaking news show, especially after games, like basketball games, football games, like in the playoffs. As soon as the game is finished, they go live and they talk about it. So that's the type of show that they have. It's very, very successful. They have some chemistry together. Obviously, they're both former professional NFL players, so they share that in common as well, right? So great show. They do their thing. They get along wonderfully. But something happened yesterday. What happened? Apparently, Chad was supposed to be on the show, and apparently he was running late because something had happened where I think he got locked in a car or something like that. And he was trying to explain it to Shannon Sharpe. Now, if you know anything about Chad Johnson, he's very lighthearted. He kind of laughs things off or whatever it is. But Shannon seems to be a little bit different. Shannon seems to take things a little bit more seriously. And I know that Shannon Sharpe takes his work very seriously because I followed him for some years, and he's a very regimented guy. He talks about how once he focuses in on something and he lasers in, he's going to give it his all, and he doesn't play around with his work, which is admirable. So Shannon now starts to show off addressing the situation. And as he's talking to Ocho, it came across as if he was scolding him publicly, right? Because as he was saying it, I'm looking at him and I'm like, does this need to be said on air, right? And a lot of people out there are now calling out Shannon Sharpe for publicly humiliating Ocho the same way Skip Bayless did. And Shannon Sharpe apparently heard these murmurs and decided to respond to these people. But before we even get into that, what we want to do now is we want to play the original comments of Shannon Sharpe, basically scolding Ocho, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to come back and react to what he said there. Take a listen to Shannon Sharpe here.
His name was Alex. He was really cool dude. And as soon as he opened the car door and he got out the car door to greet me, the car door locked by accident. So I would have been on time, but the fact that we had to wait for the tow truck and them to bring the Slim Jim was the reason for my delay and getting to the hotel a little late. But I'm here now.
Let me ask you a question. So when you go to ESPN, you have people pick you up from the airport?
Yeah.
No, you don't. When you do inside the NFL, you have people pick you up from the airport?
Yeah, at the beginning, yeah.
No, you don't. So I'm just trying to figure out why with your show would you choose to take that route when you don't take that route for ESPN and inside the NFL?
I wasn't lying. I'm dead serious. When I fly into Philly, I have somebody pick me up from Philly. When I fly into New York, I have somebody pick me up from New York. I'm serious.
That ain't what they told me. I just talked.
Hold on, listen to me now. It's documented. It's documented.
I'm just telling you.
But all you have to do is just search my tweets. I've been doing it the past 15 years. I always do this.
I'm not saying that.
Yes, sir. Talk
but
to me now.
Ocho,
Right.
again, Ocho, this is
Right,
part of your
right,
show.
right.
Why would you be late? Why would you run the risk of being
Well,
late?
I didn't want to be late. I just told you what happened. I would have been on time. But due to unfortunate circumstances of him locking the keys in his car, which I documented, I was just a little late. I went.
Why don't you, Ocho? Why don't you just have the people that you're working for just have them to
I don't
book
like
your
car
car
service.
service?
I don't like car service.
It's okay.
I don't like how them people they be mean and they be bougie. I don't like, they be in suits and ties and shit. That don't make me comfortable. That don't make me comfortable. What makes me comfortable is like being able to sit down and talk. Wait,
you want to be comfortable or you want to be professional?
No, I don't want to be. No, I want to be comfortable. I want to talk to people that I can relate to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just there. But see, here's the thing, Ocho. You say you want to be professional, you want to do ESPN, you want to do all these professional things, but you want to take a bootleg ride.
No. I want to remain my authentic self the same way I always been and do those things. Is that okay?
Okay.
No.
Okay. Let me know how that work out for you.
So you heard what he had to say there. That was the initial back and forth, right? That was him initially kind of going at him for not being for being tardy, for not being on time. And then this afternoon, as I'm going through the internet, on my Instagram from his page, there's a video that I guess was published on Shannon Sharpe's page of him essentially addressing the situation and all of the people calling him out for basically embarrassing his debate partner. So what we want to do now is we want to play what Shannon Sharpe had to say in response to the critics, and then we're going to come back and really get into the show and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to him here.
Before we get started, Ocho, there's some things that I want to address. Last night we had a situation. Everything is like in my computer. It's a little different for me here in the studio, my studio, compared to you at home. Everything is linked. The camera, the iPad, the computer, everything is linked. And what had happened is that as I'm talking, somehow it clicked over to the video. So that's what I was hearing playing back in my ear. So it wasn't anything. It wasn't like a malfunction. Somehow the audio had clicked on the video that was playing. So I could hear that back in my ear. So that was nothing that people back at in the studio was doing. That was no fault of their own. That was just something that had just all of a sudden happened. And it just took us a minute to figure out. We troubleshoot after we got off the show and we got it figured out. That won't happen again. I can assure you of that. Other technical difficulties might arise, but that won't happen. And then, guys, there's been a lot said. Well, you trying to do to Ocho what Skip did to you, blah, blah, blah. No. What I am going to do is that I'm going to push, I'm going to pull, I'm going to drag Ocho to a level that he didn't think he could get to. See, I saw some of the comments. You too serious. It's just a little internet show. It's a YouTube show. For you, that's all you see it as. But that's not the vision that I shared with Ocho when we sat down. That's not the vision that Ocho say, we can do that. Yes. I say, you see what these other guys are getting, but I can't go when I sit down with these studios and they says, okay, Shannon, what can you do? What do you want to do? How are you going to package this? What are you looking for? Because when you go to a studio, they want a time slot. They want okay, what time slot you want to be in? And can we account on you being in that slot? Yes. Yes, absolutely. And so I want Ocho to take it serious. I've conveyed this with Ocho. Ocho, I'm not breaking earth, interrupting your normally scheduled programming, because I just want Ocho to understand this is Ocho's show. This is my show. And I want him to take it as serious instead of like when he goes on First Take, be great on First Take. Inside the NFL, be great on those. But I want Ocho to understand we going to only go as far as he and I can take this thing. And the heights that I dream, and I think what he's conveyed to me, is that we're going to have to do this together. But there has to be a level of professionalism. There has to be a courtesy of being on time. I respect his time, and I want him to respect, because there's a lot of people. We started out, it was just Ocho, myself, one person in the studio, and Ash. We got 11 people now. We got editors, we got graphics, we got extra producers, we got associate producers. And so I know y'all took it and tried to run. This is a conversation. Ocho and I have had conversation off cameras. Ocho has conveyed to me what he wants to accomplish with Nightcap, all the while expanding his brand and doing First Take. I wholeheartedly support that. And when it came to me, Ocho was great. Inside the NFL, he's doing that. He's doing an unbelievable job. But I just know Ocho can, and I think for me, when I look at Ocho, I see a guy that wants to do it, but has never been in a situation where it had to be like, okay, Ocho, you can just do your thing. Ocho, you so great. I'm gonna force Ocho to be great. He ain't got no choice. He ain't gonna have no choice but to be great. And when we rise with nightcap, when y'all see, man, they did it. Man, Unc said it. Ocho said they were going to do it. That's what I expect from Ocho. And I just he was already going to be cutting it close for time because of the flight got delayed, mechanical issues. And so at that situation, you know what? I got a show tonight. This is not this is not Friday. I don't have anything to do. I can take that route that I normally take, call somebody, have them pick me up. But you know what? I'm already cutting it close. Let me get a little more suitable situation to get to my workplace. So I know you guys tried to blow it up, try to make it something. I'm trying to big time Ocho. No, I just want Ocho to be great. And I think there's a level of professionalism and a kind of courtesy that comes along with being great, because there are two kind of pains that you get. You get the pain of discipline, or you get the pain of regret. And if things don't work out, I can live with that. But I will not be, man, if I had only worked harder. So that's where I'm at. Ocho, I want you to say your piece.
Man, I'm good. Man, we good. You know that. I don't pay them people no mind. I'm always be me. I'm always be me. I'm gonna always be successful. I always have been. You have your way of doing things. I have my way of doing things. That's it. We gonna be successful no matter what. I always remain my authentic self. I've been a little bit, but I ain't gonna been too much where I have to change who I am.
So you heard everything that was said there. What are my thoughts on this? I have two thoughts. The first thought is, I agree with everything Shannon Sharpe was saying. 100%. I agree with all of his points. You can tell that he was irritated because it means a lot to him. It's his show, right? He has a lot invested in it, and he has a lot riding on it, and he's the one that brought Chad Johnson into the fold. So I understand his position because of how much is at stake for him, right? I totally get it. When you're doing something that's your own, you're going to care more than somebody else would. Anybody would feel that way once it's your own egg, once it's your own baby. But I don't think that conversation should have been held on air. I really, really don't. I really, 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 really don't. As I was watching it yesterday, I said to myself, this is awkward. This is embarrassing. Now, at the time, Chad Johnson played it off wonderfully. He was smiling and he played it off. Like, he let it roll off of his shoulders. And he did better than a lot of people, because whenever you try to scold or correct people publicly, you run the risk of humiliating them. And then your overall goal of trying to get them to see things the right way or correct a particular issue goes out the window. Because now it becomes, why are you trying to embarrass me? And the person becomes defensive. So in a case like that, when you have your partner, you never, ever, ever do something like that in public. You could have waited at the end of the show and you told them exactly what you told them. I have no issue with that. But to put it out there publicly, I think was wrong. I disagree with that, regardless of what he said. Because at that point, it doesn't matter. Because now the guy feels embarrassed. On Chad's side, he said, look, this situation occurred. So-and-so thing happened. Is Shannon Sharpe upset? Yes. Did he say, why don't you use these type of car services? These are all shoulda, woulda, coulda questions. Do you know why? And I'm gonna tell you why. If Chad had multiple occasions where he had been late like this and he had delayed the show, then I'd have been like, Shannon Sharpe has a point to say this publicly, and then to also question how he gets from show to show. I can understand that. But if this was the first time that something like this had occurred, then you have to be able to be reasonable. You know, things happen. Things happen. They happen. You get a flat tire, your car stops working, a family emergency pops. These things happen all the time. But I understand that Shannon is committed to other people. He has other people invested in the show. We get all of that. And he has the right to be upset, and he voiced his grievances. My only issue with this entire equation is him doing it publicly. I think the minute you do it publicly, you defeat the whole entire initiative, because now your partner is going to be defensive. And as it turns out, a little bit later, Chad actually was able to respond to what Shannon had told him. In this response video of Shannon reacting to the noise out there. And Chad's comments were basically like, bro, F off. Like, I can make a mistake, but I'm not going to be up here like, you're not going to be up here embarrassing me like this. We'll get to those comments in the next show. As you guys know, obviously it depends on the order in which you're watching these shows, but we just produced a show that was reacting to kind of the negative feedback that Shannon Sharpe has been getting on the internet based on an incident that occurred between himself and Chad Johnson on his show. To summarize it quickly, what essentially occurred was the following. They usually tape their show every single day or whatever it is. Chad got into a situation where I think he got locked in a car and he had to call somebody to let them out of the car. In the process of him doing this, he ended up being late for the show with Nightcap. He gets to the show. Shannon Sharpe is upset, and he begins to basically scold him on the show, saying this and saying that. And would you be a professional if you're doing it at ESPN and blah, 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 blah. All things I agree with in terms of the points that he brought up. But I totally disagree with him doing it publicly. I thought that was unnecessary. You could have did that at the end of the show, to be honest with you. I don't think, showing him up like that in front of the audience, even if you're trying to say, well, I want to show you guys how serious I am, or if I want to show my sponsors how serious I am, all of those things could be done in the background. I don't think you need to embarrass him publicly by doing that to prove a point or to make it seem like, oh my God, I'm really serious about my work. I don't think that's necessary. That's my thought. So what happened? That goes out there. The clips start going viral. People are reacting to it. Some people are saying Shannon Sharpe basically did to Chad what Skip Bayless did to him. So what happens? Today, or yesterday, whatever, today, a clip comes out of Shannon Sharpe responding to the critics. Now, in this particular show, Chad Johnson is there. He is in attendance. And Shannon Sharpe basically started to address the pushback and people kind of calling him out for how he treated him and blah, 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 blah. But then it came time for Chad to respond. And his response, I think, was him subtly giving Shannon Sharpe the middle finger for embarrassing him. So what we want to do now is we want to play what he had to say. It's a very, very short soundbite, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Man, we good. You know that. I don't pay them people no mind. I'm always be me. I'm always be me. I'm gonna always be successful. I always have been. You have your way of doing things. I have my way of doing things. That's it. We gonna be successful no matter what. I always remain my authentic self. I've been a little bit, but I ain't gonna been too much where I have to change who I am.
So that's what Ocho and I are.
So you heard his response there. You heard what he said. You heard how he said it. He was basically saying, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna do it my way. Let me tell you what he was saying subtly. Okay? What he was essentially telling Shannon Sharpe was, number one, I appreciate your show. Number two, I appreciate the opportunity you've given to me. Number three, I appreciate all the success that we've had together. Number four, I appreciate where this show may go. But I want to make it to you. I want to make it crystal clear to you. I was already Chad Johnson before I got on this show. I was already successful. I was already a millionaire. I was already a draw. Hence the reason I'm even on the show, right? And I'm going to be successful afterwards. He's basically telling Shannon Sharpe, I hear what you're saying, but don't get it twisted like you're up here saving my life and all of this. I'm going to be successful regardless of your show. That's basically what he was saying. I'm going to be successful regardless of your show. I'm not going to capitulate and turn into this person you want me to turn into and blah, 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 blah. That's how I was able to interpret what he said. Now, to Shannon's part, Shannon is speaking from the fact that he's a stakeholder, right? I don't know if those people in the show have a stake, shares in, I don't know, but he's a stakeholder. He has a lot invested. He's also connected to other companies like The Volume and others. He also has sponsors. Given the way these podcasts kind of work, based on how I'm seeing it, it looks like once you sign a contract, you're supposed to deliver shows every single day, no matter what, no matter if you're traveling. That's the reason why they do the shows at various locations. You see one guy in a hotel room, you see in another room. It's a totally different thing, right? Totally different thing. You're way more committed. What's interesting, and I got to say this as an aside, going into the independent space, one kind of gets the feeling that, okay, well, I'm independent, so I can kind of do things my way. Not that I don't show up to work or whatever it is, but, I'm not beholden to any entity. But it seems like that's not the case. It seems like, in fact, you're still working for somebody because you have to show up every single day, no matter what. Like, I'll give you an example. Two of our top line sponsors, Game Time and Prize Picks, we have certain contracts with both of them, and they're great contracts, and we have to deliver, right? But we deliver in the sense that, okay, this is our target. We have to hit these targets, and then we work our way around it. Where, like, for instance, if we decide we're going to work the next 4 Sundays, we're going to do it. If we decide we're not going to work Thursday and Friday, we're going to do it. We're not beholden to them in the sense of you got to be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No. This is a target. This is what you got to do. You deliver on it. Once you deliver on it, we're good to go. And we've been hitting our marks every single week. But we don't have this thing where it's like, man, if you don't do this, then this person's going to call this and this person is going to call. That's a lot of pressure. Now, some people say that's pressure. That's what it looks like when you go to the next level. I guess so, right? I 100% guess so. But to me, I'm a bit surprised at how restrictive that job seems to be, because if one guy is late, then all of a sudden it's an issue. In our case, something may happen with somebody. One day somebody may have a personal issue, somebody may have a family issue, something may happen. Person may not be able to make it. I may not be able to make it that day. I have a personal issue that occurs. Then what? We postpone to the next day. We figure it out. We double back. We cover the ground that we lost on the day prior, but there's flexibility. I'm surprised that there doesn't seem to be any flexibility in what they're doing, because if there was some flexibility, then you can understand that moments like this can occur when unforeseen issues may arise. If you listen to Chad Johnson's initial explanation as to why he didn't show up on time, he gave a reasonable reason to me. He was locked in the car. I mean, what do you want me to do at that point? Do you want me to do some Houdini stuff? Now, Shannon said, why don't you take a car? What I don't like is the 2020 quarterback nonsense. I don't like that. Don't let me be doing something that has been working for us. The minute I do something different, all of a sudden, but why didn't you do this? Why don't you shut up? Why don't you shut up? How about that one? Because the minute somebody makes a mistake, people are going to make mistakes. People are going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. No one is perfect. So for him to come down as hard as he did on Chad, if you want to do that, look, they know each other. They have their personal relationship, which is fine. I just think that conversation didn't need to be held publicly. That's it. That's my only disagreement here. Whatever you want to say to the guy, say it to him off the air. It being done publicly has created what it is, the situation that is created now when you have people like myself and others reacting to it, right? So to me, look, Chad Johnson basically told him, go kick rocks. I'm going to be who I am regardless. I was successful before I came on your show. I'm going to be successful after I was on your show. So look, those are his thoughts. That's how he feels. That's how he feels about it. And I got one final statement because it's something that occurred to me. I just got to say it, man. I like Shannon Sharpe a lot, although I think his Michael Jordan, LeBron takes are insane, but I like him a lot. And I said a few years ago that Shannon Sharpe is going to make more money in the next 5 years than he's ever made in his career. And I said that. There are videos of me saying I said that. So I've been a huge proponent of Shannon Sharpe and supporting him. It's just I disagree with his crazy LeBron James GOAT takes. I think those are just absolutely insane. But some of this just reeks of Stephen A. Smith, man. Some of it, the griminess of it, the dirtiness of it, the showing up your part. This is what Stephen A. Smith used to do to Max. It just, something about it just reminds me of Stephen A. Smith. Something about the griminess of it.